So today we're back out at KGPA, and I know it was the site of my controversial video where they didn't allow me to tee off from the blue tees, but let me tell you guys why I still come back here, because I know a lot of you guys said I would never go back there, which I completely understand. But the main fact here is that they actually changed the rule, and I give them tons of props for that, because they could have just said, well, it's a club rule, so too bad. So the reason why is because they are willing to change, and I really respect that. So that's why I'm back here today. So let's have some fun, guys. Hey guys, so as I mentioned, we are starting a new series today. Sorry for this first clip because it was not taken on a tripod, so it's not going to be a full clip of this drive, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to explain to you what we are talking about today. As I mentioned, it is going to be called EVR, Expectations versus Reality. And what this really means is I am basically going to be breaking down my game, letting you know why I'm not shooting 10 under at this golf course, letting you know why you are not shooting 10 under at this golf course, helping you set expectations and helping you set yourself up for success instead of for failure. So if this sounds like something you are interested in, please stay tuned. For this first hole, I'm not going to talk too much. I think you can see here, just read what we have on the screen, but we will continue it on with the second hole. And basically, I was hitting my second shot there. As you could tell, I was hitting a hybrid. And over here, I had a chip with a 58-degree wedge, and I left it about 5 feet short of the hole. So this was my putt for par. And if right now you might not understand, but basically what I'm telling you guys is, for this putt, basically, what are the chances of me making this putt? What are the consequences of me missing them versus making them? How many strokes I gain, etc., etc. So stay tuned. Let's get started. Alright, so now we are on hole 2. This is an index 9 par 5. I'm teeing off with a 3-wood here just because it gives me a higher chance of being on the fairway. It is a very narrow fairway. So this hole automatically becomes a hole that I cannot go for the green in 2, that's for sure. So it is going to be a 3-shot par 5. So it is definitely an eagle, and things like that are not even in the books unless I hit a really good approach shot, but the chances of that are very low. So we're going to say it is either a birdie or a par hole. So I hit a pretty decent shot just towards the right side of the fairway, which is exactly what we need for this hole. And then after that, I had a 5-foot over here. I still had a very long ways to the green, so I'm definitely just hitting a 5-foot to lay it up. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually on a bit of a down slope. The ball is sitting on in the rough a little bit as well. So I'm hitting a 5-foot here, and there is also a little ditch down the left side. So I'm actually trying to aim close to that bunker and just left of that overhanging tree. So as I mentioned, hitting a 5-foot here, and because this is a par 5 layup shot, there is really nothing much to it other than basically trying to hit a good shot to get myself in a good position for my third shot. So unfortunately, I did hit a good shot, but because it was on a downhill, it just was a little bit too low. It hit that tree and went straight down. So after that shot, I still had 206 yards to the green on a par 5. This is really long. As you can tell, it's also a little bit downhill. It's a downhill lie to an elevated green, so this is a very difficult shot. And immediately, just looking at the stats, even the stats of a professional golfer hitting the green is only 50%. So it's 1 in every 2 shots that they would hit the green or miss it. So as an amateur, I feel like this is a very important thing to note. When you are 206 yards to the green and you miss it, even if you hit a good shot and you missed it, how does this affect you? Are you feeling upset about it? Or do you feel like, okay, well, it was really long, I had a really tough shot, so it's okay? So try to analyze it and think about how you feel. So I missed about a 30-footer for birdie, but had a tap-in par, so a par in the second hole. Alright, so this is hole 3 and I'm very sorry about the blur video. I actually wanted to give you guys more slow-mos and front view vids because a few of you guys have been requesting for that, and I don't know what happened. My camera just decided to go blur today. But anyway, this is a par 4 index 13, and this is probably closer to the distances that they actually play in the LPGA Tour. So, and I'm talking about on average just because in Malaysia the conditions are very humid and we play all carry distance. So in general, obviously this would still be a short hole on the LPGA, but it is, considering that we don't carry it very far, it's probably close to that. I would think that LPGA is probably close to about 380 yards on an average. And after that, I only had about 110 yards. So as you can tell here, I'm actually hitting a pitching wedge, which is a lot shorter clubs than I had for the last few holes. So I'm finally giving myself a chance for birdie. And even then, I think it's quite surprising if you guys even see this. First of all, even professionals only hit this about 80% of the time, and even when they hit it, they don't actually hit it that close. They only hit it about 16 feet from pin, so that is actually pretty far. It's about 5 paces, a little bit more than that if you're not so sure. So I think that is quite eye-opening as well. How often do you hear people say, from inside 100 meters, you have to hit the green? Even professionals miss the green sometimes, so make sure that you don't set yourself up for failure by being upset when you do miss the green. So after that, obviously the greens here do not hold very well, so I actually hit it about pin high, but it rolled all the way up here, so I had about a 36-footer for birdie and I left it short, and I just had about a 3-footer left, and I made that, so par on the 3rd hole. Alright, now we're on hole 4, which is a par 3. It is 145 yards and I'm hitting an 8 iron here. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video so far. I'm hoping it's not too statistical for you and not too much information, but I just think that it's very, very interesting and very, very important for the point that I'm trying to make. So if you're enjoying it, please smash that like button. So as you can tell, I pulled it a little bit and it hit the slope in the center of the green and kicked far left. So I'm actually more than 50 feet from the hole. So this is a really, really long putt. And as you can see from that very interesting article there, the chances of 3-putting are very, very high. If you can see from this putt as well, my ball is actually making a line on the green, and that is because the greens were actually not mowed yet as it was so early in the morning, and that is probably a big reason as to why the greens are slow. So that does play a role, and I think we do have to take that into consideration. But at the same time, this is still the 4th hole already, and although this green was slower than the rest, I still could have putted it harder and give myself an easier chance rather than a 3-putt. But I want you guys to pay attention to this. Because my putt was so far from the hole, the chances of 3-putting was so high. So instead of focusing on the 3-putt, we should be focusing on the 8 iron, which I missed because that could have given me a better chance for a par. Rather than focusing on the 3-putt, the 8 iron was the mistake on this hole. Alright, so now we are down to hole 5, and as you can see, very, very long hole, 401 yards. And because I am playing, as I mentioned, we are playing carry distance. It is early in the morning, it is wet, the ball's not flying very far, it's definitely not bouncing. If I carry my drive about 230 yards, I still have 170 to the green. So that is a very, very long ways to go. And this fairway as well dips down and then goes up, so you're definitely not getting any release on the tee shot. I hit an okay drive. It was a little bit of a fade, which is not the best thing because that definitely means that it's not going very far. It was a weak fade, so I left myself with 204 yards. So as we mentioned on the 2nd hole just now, the percentage of hitting the green is only 50%. Which is quite interesting, I think, because I also added the average proximity when the green is missed because, well, the chances of hitting the green is not very high. So that is the distance that the pros usually miss the green by. As you can tell, they don't miss the green by that much. And I thought it was quite interesting because actually I hit a good shot, but it just clipped the side of the tree, so it did not travel as far as it could have. So it just landed short of the green. And the proximity was probably close to what the statistics say. Which another thing that was interesting was I hit one green from this distance and I just missed one. So my stat for today is literally 50% right now. So it is quite interesting to look at the statistics, and of course, when I come to a hole like this, I know a par is a good score because it is so long. I'm hitting such a long club into the green. And you just have to set realistic expectations for yourself. If not, you're just setting yourself up to be unhappy whenever you make bogeys. Even though, obviously we're always trying to go for a par or a birdie. Over there, I hit a good putt. As you can tell, it just did not want to go in. So, it is not too bad. As I mentioned here, it is a good, acceptable bogey for me because of the way the hole was playing. So we have now reached hole 6, which is a par 5, index 1, 586 yards, and it's actually playing a lot longer because it is a dog leg as well. So it's definitely a very long hole. And over here, I'm just hitting a drive, as I mentioned, giving you guys different angles. So let me know if this is something you enjoy. I mean, I'm really sorry about the quality. I don't know why today my camera decided to act up. But if you guys are enjoying slow-mos and different angles, it is something that I will try to incorporate in future videos as well. So anyway, after that shot, I just had a 3-wood to the green. This, as I mentioned, really long. 3-wood as a layup. As I mentioned, very long hole. So what I was really trying to do is just get it out there as far as I can. Unfortunately, there are no stats for layups and, making sure you hit on the fairway and stuff. But obviously, the if you hit on the fairway, the chances of you getting a better lie for your approach shot and therefore hitting the green on your approach shot increases. So that would just be common sense. But anyway, let's move on to the third shot, which is 133 yards. And it is playing uphill on this hole, and the pin is actually in front. So this is a very tough pin to access because after the pin is straight downhill, and you do need to make sure that you carry it enough because the green is elevated and there is a bunker in front. I also need to add that, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that the stats that I found are, pros that are ladies or men. I'm assuming it just says pros in average in general, which obviously this makes a huge difference. Because for me, 133 yards, I'm hitting 8 iron. A man would obviously be hitting something a lot shorter. So we're just going to use that as a base for basically what we're discussing today. We don't want to be too specific, and and if you guys do try to find statistics, it's actually a lot easier to find men's statistics than women's statistics. Even all these putting statistics are all from the PGA Tour. So it is important to keep that in mind. Anyway, this is the putt that I had coming back. It is, as I mentioned, is straight downhill. Actually, I hit a really good shot, but there was no way of stopping the ball on this green, and that's why I mentioned that the club that I was hitting obviously plays difference if it was a man or woman statistic. But anyway, I would say that I did not lose strokes on this hole because it was a good par. Moving on to the next hole, this is a par 3. It's playing 181 yards. So I'm hitting a 5 iron here. And again, this is a lot longer than the average club that people would normally be hitting for par 3s, even on the LPGA Tour. Obviously, it's not uncommon, especially in windy conditions, but I would assume that in general, they would want the players to hit mid to long irons. So this would be considered on the longer side. And I did pull it a little bit, so definitely not an ideal shot. And I left myself in the bunker, left off the green. So from the sand, it is actually a little bit difficult to calculate this because it is an average. So an average of how often players get it up and down from the sand. But at the end of the day, I think basically all you can do is really try to hit a good shot. And if you're an amateur player, the first goal always is to make sure you get out of the bunker and try to get it on the green. The proximity to the hole comes later on. And actually hit a good shot there, but the slope kind of feeded it away from the hole, so I left myself a longer putt considering how good that shot was from the bunker. So over here, I have a 12-foot putt. And as you can see, the make percentage is only 30.1%. Additionally, I also hit it in the bunker, and so this would be a sand safe as well. So we do need to consider when you're in certain places or put in under certain situations, you do need to realize sometimes a bogey is an okay score. I hit a good putt there. The speed was just a little bit soft, so a bogey on this par 3. But it was a long par 3 and definitely not easy from the position that I was in. So we are now on hole 8 and I am hitting a hybrid here. This is a long hole, again another par 3. It is 196. So this is definitely a long hole, but I know a lot of people might be saying I could just tee off from another tee box to make it shorter. But do bear in mind, this is just a practice for me, and obviously I could play off the whites or the reds, but I am just having fun, and also it does kind of help me because I am able to practice my short game more often. So of course, I could be teeing off from other tee boxes, which are more realistic because the blue tees here are definitely long today. It is all pulled back. But again, I'm just saying this is just practice and just personal preference to play with my flight mates because it just makes it a lot easier. So anyway, I hit a good shot there. And I actually was straight at the pin, but the green here can't hold, so it ran over. So I would definitely consider this a very, very good shot. I was hitting a hybrid. If you could tell, the green is quite small because there is a big slope in the center and you do need to make sure you hit it on the right side of the green. And in general, I just hit a good shot there. So I'm definitely happy with that on this hole. And I'm just slightly over, so I am putting here. And I hit a decent putt and just gave myself another tap-in par, which is definitely something that you want to do on long holes like this. So definitely no complaints here when you give yourself a little tap-in easy par. So for this hole, I'm just going to say par was a good score and 0 strokes lost. So let's move on to the last hole, hole 9. We have come to the final hole on this 9. This video is definitely taking a lot longer to edit, but I hope that if you guys find it beneficial, it would definitely be worth it to me. So please let me know what you think. I hope it's not too much information, but trust me, I feel like once I get my point across, it would make sense why I'm telling you guys all this. But for now, let's focus on this last hole. So this is a par 5. It is uphill, and I hit a good drive there. For the second shot here, I'm hitting a 5-wood just to make sure that I'm short of those right bunkers, but I actually pulled it a little bit, so I ended up in this odd slope over here. So this is not only in the slope but in the rough, and it is an uphill elevated green. Obviously the statistics here show the basically like the average, and most of the time I think it would consider when you're in an average lie. So I think it would be quite interesting to see how much that percentage decreases when you are in odd lies. I think the pros in general obviously have a better grasp of how to hit in different lies, but I definitely think that the percentage will change if different lies were considered as well, or if you only compare odd lies versus good lies. So anyway guys, I hope that you guys have found this video interesting. There has been a lot of information in this video, and there will be a back 9 video as well. But I hope that you guys are kind of understanding what I'm trying to say. There is quite a bit of takeaway that I do want to tell you guys more in the second video. But for now, I hope you guys just focus a little bit on what I'm saying. Just enjoy some of the statistics, and hopefully it makes you feel even better about your game. You know, when you miss that 3-footer, you know, even pros miss them. So you know, it happens to all of us, so don't take it too hard on yourself. Golf is meant to be fun. So I hope to catch you guys on the back 9 video, and so that I can discuss more of my takeaway. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time.